AITA for canceling our wedding when my fiancée asked to postpone it for a Europe trip? Jessica and I had been together for about 5 years and engaged for almost 3. Things were going well, or so I thought. We had set a wedding date, everything was booked, and I was convinced we were on the same page. Apparently, I was wrong. About 6 weeks ago, she announced she was going on a trip to Europe with her old college girlfriends. She called it a once-in-a-lifetime trip. I was okay with it. I mean, I was not going to stop her from going with her friends. In fact, I even drove her to the airport and helped with her bags. I gave her a goodbye kiss and told her to have fun. And that is when she hit me with it, the infamous, "We need to take a break." But it was not like she said, "Let's sit down and talk." No, she just threw that at me while we were walking toward the TSA security checkpoint, like it was nothing. I remember thinking, what do you mean by a break? But before I could even answer or ask questions, she was already in line, waving at me, and it was over. I did not even realize it right away. I got back in my car to drive home, thinking maybe it was just a weird comment because she was stressed about the trip. But then, I tried to call her just to check in. And guess what? Blocked. Her number went straight to voicemail. My iMessages would not deliver. I could not call her or send a text. Nothing. I checked social media to see if she had posted anything or given any news about her trip. Blocked there too. That is when I started to understand that this break was not just an offhand remark. She really meant it. She left for Europe and decided to cut me off without even a conversation. I tried to wait a few days. Maybe she would calm down. Maybe she would realize she was being ridiculous. But after 5 days of total silence, I knew. I made my decision right then and there. The wedding was off. And you know what? I had a good feeling after making that decision. Why stay with someone who thinks she can disappear like that whenever she feels like it? I was not going to wait around for her to decide if she still wanted to be in a relationship or not. Out of the question. She had made her choice. So I made mine. I started making calls. First the venue, then the caterer, the photographer, the DJ. I canceled everything we had planned for the wedding. I pulled the plug, and I even went further. I decided she would not be moving into my apartment with me either, which was planned for March. No, she would have to find her own solution when she got back from her little vacation, but it would not be with me. Weeks went by without a single word. Not a message, not a call, nothing. Then one day, she calls me out of the blue. I did not even recognize the number. She must have gotten a temporary SIM card or something. She tells me she is coming back Thursday morning, gives me her flight details as if I care, and acts like everything is fine, like she had not just ghosted me for 6 weeks. I paused, then I told her. And why is that my problem? The silence on the other end of the line was golden. She did not know what to answer. I did not give her the chance to explain either. I blocked her new number exactly like she had done to me, and it was over. Well, that is what I thought. Later in the day, I decided it was time to inform people, especially since the wedding was canceled. We had a group chat with friends and family. So, I just sent a short message. Hey everyone, just wanted to let you know, the wedding is canceled, and Jessica and I are no longer together. I did not think it was going to cause such a stir, but wow, the questions started flying. Everyone wanted to know what had happened. So I told them. I said that Jessica had left for Europe, declared that we needed a break without even talking to me about it, then had blocked me for 6 weeks. People were shocked. Some were even angry on my behalf, and honestly, it felt good to have support. You never know how others will react to this kind of news, but it was reassuring. Around 2 in the afternoon, Jessica finally decided to react in the group chat. She did not say much at first, just that she wanted me to call her so we could talk. No way. I told her we could talk about it there in the group if she wanted to explain herself. She did not like that. She told me something like, "This is between us, not for everyone to see." Yeah, no. She made it public the day she disappeared from my life without a word. She tried to send me a few more private messages, but I kept it brief. I was not in the mood to listen to her excuses. At 6 that evening, she was practically begging me in the group chat to come pick her up at the airport so we could talk. Seriously, as if nothing had happened. I told her clearly, that was your plan, not mine. None of this was my plan. And I meant it. I was not going to run to the airport like a fool after everything she had done. To be honest, a part of me was still waiting for an explanation that would make sense. I wanted to believe there was a valid reason, something that would justify her behavior. But the more time passed, the more I understood that there would be nothing. No big excuse, No misunderstanding. She had made her choice, and I had to live with it. So, in the following days, I focused on my own life. There was no way I was letting her destroy me. I started going through our joint savings account, separating everything. And yes, I changed the locks on my apartment. I did not want her barging in without warning, thinking she could just reintegrate into my life like that. It was over. I even started looking at trips for myself. I told myself that if she could take off to Europe for 6 weeks, I could treat myself to some time away too. I deserved it after everything she had put me through. That is where I was. She was coming back in a few days, but I would not be there waiting for her. She would have to figure out how to get home on her own. For me, this chapter was closed, and I was moving on to better things. Okay, let me tell you what happened next, because it escalated quickly. After accepting that the wedding was over, I thought it was only a matter of time before Jessica tried to contact me again. I was ready, but what I did not expect was that she would try to play the victim so fast. It all started when I received a message from a mutual friend of ours, Chloe. Chloe is cool. She has always been honest with me. But this time, she was a bit hesitant, as if she did not really want to get involved. She sent me a screenshot from a different group chat, one I obviously was not in. It was Jessica talking with her girlfriends, telling the story as if I were the one who had overreacted. Can you believe it? In the chat, she was telling them how much the wedding stressed her out and that she had needed space to see things clearly. She even said something like, "I had not planned for the break to last so long, but I thought he would understand." And then there was this gem. I just needed to know if I was ready for marriage, but he canceled everything before I could even talk to him. I almost laughed out loud reading that, as if I was the problem when she blocked me everywhere for 6 weeks and then acted like I did not give her the chance to talk. No, it does not work like that. I felt my blood boil just reading her messages. She was playing the victim card to the fullest, telling everyone that I was irrational and that I had canceled the wedding on a whim. At this point, I knew I could not let her rewrite history by making me look like the bad guy. So, I decided to tackle things head on. I jumped back into the main group chat, where our close friends and family were still reacting to the announcement. Everyone was trying to understand what had happened, and I told myself it was time to set the record straight. I posted a message that said, "Listen, I just want everyone to know the truth. Jessica decided on her own that we were taking a break without talking to me. Then she blocked me for 6 weeks and is now acting like it was a misunderstanding. I canceled the wedding because I was not going to wait for someone who does not even respect me enough to have a conversation." Immediately, the replies started coming in, messages of support, people saying how unfair the situation was. Jessica stayed silent in the chat for a good hour. Then she finally chimed in with a lame excuse like, "I did not think it would go this far. I never wanted to hurt anyone." Once again, no responsibility, no real apology, just an attempt to save face. One of my buddies, Ryan, stepped in and called her out in front of everyone. "Jessica, you can't just drop a break on someone, disappear for weeks, and expect everything to be normal when you come back. That is not how relationships work." Honestly, I was relieved that someone else said it because I was sick of having to defend myself. And that is where it started to get interesting. Jessica's friend, Brittany, who I always suspected of being fake, decided to defend her. Brittany started saying that Jessica had been through a lot and that the pressure of the wedding could really make you lose your footing. She was trying to present Jessica as a victim of stress and anxiety. Okay, sure, I understand that planning a wedding is stressful, but that is not an excuse to block your fiancé and disappear for 6 weeks while you party in Europe. Brittany continued by saying things like, "You should have given Jessica more time to process everything. Maybe you reacted too quickly by canceling the wedding." That is when I snapped. I was not going to sit there listening to a third party who was not even in the relationship explain to me how I should have handled it. So I replied, "Brittany, with all due respect, you have no idea. This is not about wedding stress. It is about the fact that Jessica blocked me, cut me off completely, and did not bother to speak to me a single time during her entire trip. I tried. I called. I sent messages. And I got nothing. How long was I supposed to wait? 6 more weeks? A year? If Jessica did not want to be with me anymore, she could have just told me. But instead, she disappeared and expected me to wait for her. It does not work like that." The chat went silent after that. I think everyone was starting to realize how twisted the situation was. Even Brittany did not have much else to say. A few days passed, and I thought things were finally going to calm down. But no, I get a call from Ashley, Jessica's sister. Ashley and I had always gotten along pretty well, so I thought she was just calling to check on me. But as soon as I picked up, she went on the attack. Why did you cancel the wedding without talking to Jessica first? I was in shock. I did not expect Ashley to take her sister's side, especially after all this. I told her, Ashley, your sister blocked me. How was I supposed to talk to her if she literally cut off all contact? Ashley did not really have an answer, but she continued to insist, saying that Jessica was heartbroken and that I should have waited for her return to discuss it. At that point, I had had enough. I told her bluntly, listen, I understand that you want to defend your sister, but what she did was wrong. She did not give me a say in this break, and I am not going to wait around for someone who does not respect me. If Jessica wants to explain herself, she knows how to reach me, but I am not the one who is going to fix this. Ashley tried to add more, but I told her I had to go and hung up. There was no way I was repeating the same discussion with every person Jessica sent my way. That same evening, I received another message from Jessica. This time, she was apologizing. Well, sort of. She said she was sorry for the way things had happened, but without taking the slightest responsibility for her choices. It was one of those half apologies where she tried to make it seem like we were both responsible. I did not answer. There was no point. She had made her bed. Now she had to lie in it. After that, I reblocked her everywhere, just to be sure there would not be any more drama. I had no interest in listening to her excuses or letting her prolong this story. And in the end, I realized something. I had dodged a bullet. If this is how Jessica reacts when things get complicated, I cannot even imagine what it would have been like once we were married. I was sad for the time lost, but relieved that it ended before getting worse. Now, I could move forward, and that is exactly what I intended to do. Update 1. So, after all the drama with Jessica and her attempts to guilt-trip me into reconsidering the wedding, I thought things were going to calm down a bit. But no, not in my life. Apparently, I was still in for much more than I expected. About a week after blocking Jessica for good, I received a call from an unknown number. I almost did not answer because at this point, I was not in the mood for more drama. But for some reason, I picked up. And guess who it was? Jessica's mother. Yes, her mother. Seriously? Jessica's mother, Susan, had always been that type of person who is super nice on the surface, but you could always feel a small dose of passive aggressiveness underneath. The kind of person who gives you a compliment that sounds almost like an insult. You know the type. Anyway, Susan started the conversation as if nothing had happened. Hi, honey, how are you? She said, as if we had not just canceled a wedding and as if I had not cut ties with her daughter. I was not going to play along, so I was direct. I'm fine, Susan. What's up? And that is when she started her guilt speech. We were looking forward to this wedding so much, and this whole situation has really upset Jessica. You know she cries every day since she got back, right? She is completely devastated. At that moment, I was not going to let myself be swayed, not after everything. So, I told her, frankly, Susan, I'm sorry Jessica is upset, but she made her choices. I did not cancel the wedding without reason. And there, Susan throws at me. Well, maybe you overreacted a little. You know, Jessica was simply nervous about all this, and sometimes people make mistakes when they are stressed. Don't you think you should give her a second chance? I could not believe what I was hearing. She was acting as if Jessica blocking me for 6 weeks and disappearing was just a small, unimportant mistake. No way, Susan, I said. It was not just stress. She literally blocked me everywhere and left for Europe without a word. That is not something you can just brush aside. If Jessica had doubts, she should have talked to me about it, not cut me off from everything. But Susan was not done. Oh no, she continued. I know it seems serious, but think about all those years you spent together. You had such a beautiful relationship. Don't you want to try to save it? I am sure that once Jessica explains everything to you, you will understand. At this stage, I was frankly annoyed. It was as if Susan was not even listening to what I was saying. She was so obsessed with the idea of me taking Jessica back that she was not considering my feelings at all. I took a deep breath, trying to stay calm, and I said, Susan, with all due respect, Jessica had 6 weeks to contact me, and she did not. I have already made my decision. The wedding is canceled, and that is final. I thought that would end the discussion, but Susan had not said her last word. She told me, well, If you don't want to talk to Jessica, at least come to dinner at our house so we can discuss it as a family. Maybe we could settle this together. I was speechless. She was inviting me to a family dinner as if this was just a small argument we could resolve over a plate of pasta. I knew it would lead nowhere. So, I replied, "Thanks for the invitation, but I think it is better that we all move on." And on that, I hung up. You think it was over? Wrong. The next day, I received a message from Jessica's father. Now, let me tell you, her father, David, is the kind of old-school guy who always thinks he is right. He never really liked me but tolerated me because Jessica and I were together. So when I saw his message, I knew it was not going to be a pleasant discussion. He flat out attacked me, saying that I was ruining something good and that I was destroying Jessica's life by not giving her a chance to explain herself. He even said something like, "A real man does not act like that. You are supposed to support your fiancée, not run away at the first sign of trouble." That really pissed me off. I had supported Jessica for years, and this is how I was being treated. I did not reply to David because I knew it would turn into a useless argument, and honestly, I was sick of it. But the worst was yet to come. A few days later, I received a message from Jessica. She had used another number to reach me, and it was a massive text, several paragraphs long. She explained that she was sorry for everything, that she never wanted to hurt me, and that she understood she had made a mistake. She said she was confused about the wedding, that she had needed time to think but did not know how to tell me. So, she had panicked and blocked me. Then she dropped the bomb. She said she still wanted to get married. Yes, you read that right. After all that, after blocking me, ignoring me for 6 weeks, and trying to blame it on stress, she still wanted to marry me. It was as if she lived in a parallel universe where everything could go back to normal with a simple apology. I sat there staring at the message, not really knowing what to say. A part of me was still angry. No, actually, the major part of me was angry. But there was a small part that felt, I do not know, sad, I guess. We had spent years together, and this is how it was ending. It was not at all how I had imagined it, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized it was not something I could forgive. It was not just about the wedding or the trip to Europe. It was a question of trust. Jessica had broken that trust, and no apology or explanation could repair that. I could not marry someone who thought it was acceptable to disappear as soon as things got complicated. So, I did what I should have done from the beginning. I blocked the number she was using, deleted the message, and I moved on. For real this time. After all that, I felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. I was no longer a prisoner of Jessica's guilt-tripping or the pressure of her family. I could finally focus on myself and what I wanted for the future. And frankly, it felt good. Update 2. Okay, you would think that since I had blocked Jessica and her family again, things would finally calm down. No, wrong. Of course not, because that would be too easy. I swear, it was like they could not accept that the wedding was canceled, and they continued to come at me from all sides as if they wanted to wear me down. But it did not work. A few days after Jessica's last attempt to reach me, I received a text from someone else. This time, it was one of Jessica's bridesmaids, Tiffany. Now, Tiffany and I were not really close. She was always nice when we hung out in a group, but she was more Jessica's friend than mine. So, when I saw her name pop up, I was immediately suspicious. The text started nicely. She asked how I was doing, said she had heard about the breakup, blah blah blah. But I was not stupid. I knew she was not writing without a reason. So, I kept my answer short, something like, "Yeah, I'm okay, taking things one day at a time." And that is when she dropped it. I think you should listen to Jessica. And here we go again. I stared at my phone for a moment, wondering if I should answer or just block Tiffany and move on. But I was curious. I wanted to see where this was going. So, I asked her why she thought that. Tiffany launched into a long speech, saying that Jessica was doing really badly, that she was crying every day since her return from Europe. She said Jessica was too afraid to contact me directly because she thought I would not listen to her. Apparently, Jessica had told her friends she had made a big mistake but did not know how to fix it. I sighed, feeling the frustration rising. Tiffany, I have already heard all of this. I gave Jessica chances to explain herself, and she did not take them. She blocked me for 6 weeks and thought everything would be fine when she got back. That is not something I can just forget. Tiffany insisted, saying that Jessica had only needed space and that she did not want to hurt me. But the more she talked, the more I understood what was really happening. Jessica had sent Tiffany to do her dirty work, thinking I might listen to someone else. It was as if she did not even have the courage to face me directly anymore. I was done. I told Tiffany, "Listen, I appreciate you trying to help, but this is not something that can be fixed with a few excuses. It is over. Period." I could see she wanted to continue insisting, but I did not give her the chance. I blocked her immediately. And just when I thought I was finally at peace, I received another message. This time, it was from one of Jessica's cousins, Kevin. I had not heard from Kevin in months, and suddenly, he texted me to ask if we could meet up to talk about all this. At this point, I was so sick of everyone trying to drag me back into Jessica's drama that I almost did not answer. But curiosity took over. I wanted to know what angle Kevin was going to try. So, I agreed to meet him for coffee. When I arrived at the coffee shop, Kevin was already there, looking a little nervous. We sat down, exchanged a few awkward pleasantries, then he finally got to the point. "Listen, man, I know this whole thing with Jessica has been a real mess. I just wanted to check on you and see if there was a way you guys could fix things." I almost laughed. "Kevin, it is over. There is nothing to fix. She made her choices, and I made mine." He looked uncomfortable, as if he knew he was about to say something I would not like. "Yeah, I get that. But here is the thing. Jessica keeps saying she thinks she made a mistake. And, well, she is hinting that maybe you guys could try again if you gave her a little time." I put down my coffee, trying to keep my cool. "Kevin, no offense, but Jessica had her chance. She made a mistake, okay. But it was not just a mistake. She ghosted me for weeks. She erased me from her life as if I did not exist. That is not something you just recover from." He nodded, but I could see he was not really listening. "Yeah, but if she is really serious about fixing things, she talks about wanting to make it up to you." I shook my head. "Kevin, I appreciate you trying to help, but it is not going to happen. If Jessica wants to move on, that is great. But I am not interested in picking up where we left off." We sat in silence for a moment, both aware that this conversation was going nowhere. Finally, Kevin shrugged and said, "I understand. I just wanted to give it a shot." I finished my coffee, got up, and said, "Thanks for trying, man, but it is over. It is time we both move on." He gave me a half-sincere smile, and we said goodbye. After that, I told myself that maybe, just maybe, it would finally be over. I mean, how many more people could Jessica possibly send after me? Well, apparently, I was wrong again because the next day, I received a message from Jessica's aunt. Just her aunt. I barely knew this woman. We had crossed paths at a few family events, exchanged polite greetings, but that was it. So when I saw her name appear on my phone, I knew this meant more family drama. Her aunt started by telling me she heard about the breakup and wanted to know how I was doing. At this point, I was so fed up that I flat out asked her, "Did Jessica send you?" The answer? "Not exactly, but she is hurting a lot, and I thought I could help mediate between you two." I almost threw my phone across the room. "Mediation?" I replied by text. "There is nothing to mediate. It is over." I do not know how to be any clearer, but she did not let up. She told me that love was worth fighting for and that I should not throw away years of a good relationship because of a misunderstanding. That is when I realized Jessica must be feeding her family a whole story where I was the one who overreacted. This time, I did not even bother replying. I blocked her and decided that was it. No more conversations, no more explanations, no more chances for anyone to drag me back into this toxic mess. It was over, for real this time. After that, finally, silence. No more texts, no more calls, no more family members appearing in my inbox to try to guilt-trip me into taking Jessica back. It felt good, as if I could finally breathe without the weight of her drama on my shoulders. And honestly, for the first time in a long time, I felt like I was really moving forward. No more waiting for empty excuses, no more what-ifs, just me, focused on what is next. And that was exactly what I needed. Update 3. Okay, here is how everything ended. And yeah, of course, it did not end quietly. You would think that after blocking Jessica, her mother, her bridesmaids, and practically her entire family, things were finally going to stop. But no, because Jessica decided to pull one last stunt, and it is the one that made me realize how far she was willing to go to try to get me back, or at least to get what she wanted. A month after all this, I received a letter in the mail. Yes, a real, physical letter, like we were in the 19th century. I almost did not open it because, seriously, who sends letters anymore. But the handwriting looked familiar, and I figured, why not? I thought it would be a final attempt from Jessica, but nothing too crazy. I was wrong. I opened the letter, and it was a long message handwritten by Jessica. Pages and pages. She poured her heart out in it, saying she missed me, that she regretted everything, blah blah blah. But here's the crazy part. She did not just say she was sorry. She started talking about how she wanted us to see each other again and mentioned that she still had the key to my apartment. I repeat, she said she still had the key to my apartment. The same key I had completely forgotten existed. A cold knot formed in my stomach. I had already changed the locks once when all this started, but I had not even considered that Jessica might still think she had access to my place. I immediately got up, checked my locks one more time, and started thinking about what I should do next. But that was not all. The letter was not just an apology. It laid out a plan to start from scratch. She said she had spoken with her mother about us going to couples therapy and that she thought if we could just see each other face to face, we could fix things. At this stage, I was more annoyed than anything else. Seriously, did she really think that was a good idea? After blocking me, ghosting me, sending her whole family after me, and acting as if I was the one who had to fix things? I could not believe it. And the best part of it all, towards the end of the letter, she mentioned that she had already made arrangements for us to meet a counselor, as if she had already booked the appointments without even asking my opinion. The audacity. She had not asked if I was interested. She had not even bothered to check with me. She had just assumed I would go along with it. I was furious. I could not believe she still did not get it. After everything that happened, she was still trying to control the situation, still trying to bend me to her will. It was like she thought that by planning everything, I would eventually give in. So, I sat down and wrote her a letter back. I figured if she wanted to play this old-fashioned game, I would participate one last time. But this time, I was crystal clear. I told her, without the slightest ambiguity, that it was over. No couples therapy, no second chance, no meeting to talk. I told her to return the key, even though I had already changed the locks again, and that she had to move on because I already had. I sent the letter and felt pretty good about having finally closed that door for good. I thought that was going to be the end of the story, but no. A week later, I received another letter from her. This time, it was much shorter. She did not argue or try to convince me to go to therapy. She just said she understood my point of view, but that she still thought we should talk. And then, she added something that really creeped me out. She mentioned she had driven past my apartment several times and had seen that I was not there. She did not say why she was driving by my place or what she was doing, but the simple fact that she was watching me like that gave me chills. At that moment, I knew I had to do something more radical. I was not going to let this turn into a stalking situation. I called my landlord and asked if it was possible to install more security, even cameras. I was not messing around anymore. And just when I thought it could not get any weirder, I received a call from my mother. She knew about everything that had happened and had supported me from the start. But she called to tell me that Jessica had come to her house. Yes, she had shown up without warning to talk about us. I almost dropped my phone. Jessica had gone to my mother's house to try to convince her to help get me back. I was furious. Not only was Jessica crossing my boundaries, but now she was involving my family, trying to manipulate the situation through them. My mother, thank God, did not fall for it. She told Jessica that I had already made my decision and that she had to respect it. Apparently, Jessica started crying, but my mother did not give in. She told her it was time to move on. After that call, I understood I had to take one last step to end this permanently. I filed for a restraining order. I did not want to get to that point, but I felt I had no choice. Jessica was becoming too invasive, and I had to protect my space and my family. When Jessica was served with the papers, she finally let go. No more letters, no more unannounced visits, nothing. It was as if she had finally gotten the message. I did not feel good about having to go that far, but I knew it was the right decision. And honestly, after all that, I learned a lot about myself. I learned that it is okay to defend your boundaries, even when others refuse to respect them. I learned that you should not offer infinite chances to someone, especially when that person has betrayed your trust. And above all, I learned that moving on is not just walking away. It is also protecting your peace and your future. So there you have it. It is over. I am finally free from all this drama, and I am moving forward with my life. It was not easy, but I got through it, and now I am focused solely on what is next. No more looking back. Comment. Thank you for listening to this journey with me. It highlights how crucial it is to honor your own worth, even when it feels like the harder path. Setting boundaries is not about being unkind. It's about being kind to yourself first. Sometimes, the most loving thing you can do for your future is to make a difficult choice in the present. You can't control how others act, but you always control how you respond and protect your peace. Choosing peace over chaos is a skill worth practicing every single day. True healing begins when you stop waiting for an apology and start creating the life you deserve. Remember to be patient and kind to yourself during these moments of transition. Your peace is your priority, and you have the strength to protect it. If you like the stories, don't forget to leave a comment and support the channel by subscribing. See you in the upcoming stories.